Nowadays, sommeliers are teaching us new ways of tasting wine. See how the approach to red, white and rosé wines is getting an overhaul.
That's a blend. There's some Syrah, Carignan and Grenache. The Italian wine is a single grape variety, Nebbiolo.
The concept of these new afterworks is to learn how to recognise different grape varieties, harmonise flavours and taste wine differently through a workshop dreamt up by the chef Guy Martin. The principle? Guests get together after work for a finger buffet and several good bottles of wine.
The chefs are going to prepare some snacks, little nibbles, things to eat, which will be accompanied by the cocktails or wine. French people often do not actually know their wines that well, and so this is a way to introduce them to other flavours, freshness and acidity. It's educational, but in a relaxed atmosphere.
The sommelier has also selected wines from abroad. Foreign wines represent just 2% of France's wine consumption. Because even if France is the authority on wines, wines from Chile, Australia or Italy, for example, should not be ignored.
This is a single grape variety. It's an Italian variety, Nebbiolo, which is a major grape variety from the Piedmont region. And that is from the Longue vines. They are often Barolo vines that are downgraded to Longue, so they are quite fruity, tender wines, but the grapes have a slightly thick skin, so there is a slightly crunchy aspect, a little bite to the wine.
The wine can be tasted on its own, but the most interesting and sometimes the most difficult part is knowing how to match it to your different dishes. And as we do not always have a sommelier to hand, some wine sellers had the idea of presenting the bottles differently. We're going to save the Medoc for afterworks because it's magnificent. Afterworks, escapism, pasta and pizza. Here the wine is not only classified by where it comes from.
We make suggestions to people for drinks and appetizers with the girls, for example. We would suggest a Jurançon. For a moment of escapism with an original wine, we'd suggest a slightly peppery Saint-Chinion. We help people choose, depending on the dishes or the occasion.
A simplified way of describing a wine aimed at novices, young people in particular, who are a little lost when faced with dozens of wines with guaranteed origins.
It's a way of saying stop to complicated wines that only wine enthusiasts understand. At the end of the day, wine can be appreciated by anyone. We all have a palate. We all get pleasure from it.
Wine, a unifying element for a certain conviviality. And for a successful wine tasting session, you no longer have any excuses for not choosing a good bottle. Antoine Chopin cultivates vines in the city. Meet a wine grower on his land with a view of the Eiffel Tower. We're at Suresnes train station to the west of Paris. Among the passengers is a 24-year-old man, Antoine Chopin. He is without a doubt France's only wine grower that commutes to work by train.
The journey between the area and the vineyard takes you from the city to countryside.
Antoine has been making this trip to a roadside plot of hidden land every day for 3 months.
This is the Suresnes vineyard at the crest of Mont Valérien.
5,000 vines over 1 hectare with an unobstructed view of the Eiffel Tower. The vineyard was developed in the 1980s and Antoine has been in charge here since February. He has just finished his degree in winemaking. This is his first full-time job.
I was born in Paris. Not that this changes anything, but it was great finding a job like this in Paris or nearby. It's a good starting point and a way of learning all the sides to the job, so it has lots of advantages.
C'est un moyen de commencer, de se former un peu à toutes les facettes du métier, et donc ça présente beaucoup d'intérêt.
Because from the pruning to the picking, Antoine looks after the vineyard on his own. This time of year, the first buds are appearing.
Here, for example, there's a double bud. That means there's 2 shoots coming from the same bud. So we get rid of the smaller one, because it's important for the development of the plant that it's not too bushy.
It's not by chance that Antoine is a wine grower. His family passed on their passion.
I actually have Beaujolais roots. I have family and a family house in Beaujolais. One of my grandfathers had several vineyards there. That's probably where it all started.
With his background and at his young age, Antoine is taking care of the 2010 vintage, which he'll be able to taste next year. In the meantime, it's a 2009 vintage that is being bottled.
This is one of the only times during the year that I have outside help, because here I couldn't do without it.
A helping hand from an association of local volunteers. Here, everyone pitches in. After all, there are 6,000 bottles to fill.
We are a small team. We look after the vineyard. When we have a bit of time, we come here. It's fun. It's part of Suresnes folklore.
And it's now up to Antoine to keep the tradition alive, because the town of Suresnes is very attached to its wine that it's been keeping in this cellar since 1984. It's the only wine from Ile-de-France, a region around Paris, that has the right to be sold.
I feel a bit like the Guardian, and I have to ensure that everything continues. The previous vintages were good, so from now on, they have to be at least as good as they have been in the past.